Hey everybody, welcome to episode 2 of the worshipteam.net podcast. Uh, Today I have, I'm really not sure how to start this podcast, but I have a few things on my heart, and I figured that, well, they're there for a reason, so I might as well start by that. The first thing is an experience that happened to me recently. I was playing a gig in a bar, and yeah, that never happens. And so anyway, I was playing a gig in a bar, and a friend of mine brought a couple of guitars for me to try. They're carbon fiber made guitars, and I do a lot of gigs outside in the summer, and so the sun beats on my guitars, and which is not good, throws them out of tune, every inside of a song, which is not good for the audience and is not fun for me. That sound you hear, by the way, is coffee percolating in the next room. So happiness is about to be here again, is what I'm saying. Anyway, and then you get to sweat on your guitars with that beautiful finish on them, and that can't be good for them either. So long story short, I decided to invest in a carbon fiber guitar. So my friend has two of them, two, mind you, in case you didn't know what two was. Anyway, he has two of them, and so he was kind enough to bring him to this gig so that I could try them out. And I put on the first one and thought, somebody please get this thing off of me. I didn't like the sound, I didn't like the way it played, I didn't like anything about it. The second one I tried, and he said, well, that's the one I gig. And I felt bad about saying, well, I'm about to take it from you because that guitar is what I've been looking for. And so I made him an offer, he accepted it, and I got the guitar. So I decided to play the rest of the set with that new guitar, new to me guitar. And I did. I was playing this song, Even If, by Mercy Me. And that song has been with me lately, helping me through some pretty rough times, reminding me that, yes, God can change the things in my life that are painful, and he's not gonna, at least not right now, and that's okay. Um, Even if he doesn't, my hope is still in him, and my trust is still in him, and it's a lesson that I am learning and relearning on a daily basis for the past 4 months, and it's a good lesson. And evidently I need to learn it some more because here I am. Anyway, so I'm playing this song live and my eyes are closed, and I know it's a bad thing. I know you're supposed to connect with your audience and keep your eyes open. I know, but I guess I'm not that good of a singer. So my eyes are closed and I'm performing this song. I have this guitar on and I'm really living every word in that song. And I'm really basically praying at that stage. That those words would bring me the comfort that they've been bringing me, and that I would be feeling reassured, and that I would reassert that yes, my hope is in him, whether that mountain is being moved or not, as a result of my prayers, my daily prayers. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, I realize that I have this harmony pedal on the floor, and I realize, oh no, I must have stepped on it by mistake because I'm hearing this other voice. So I open my eyes to check there is a little light on the pedal that indicates if the harmony effect is on or not, as I'm sure many of you have seen them before, and it's not on. But as I'm singing this song, there are these two people at a table, married couple. They look like they're in their late 50s, give or take. And they both have their eyes closed, and they're singing along to every word of this song. And the lady, I'm sorry, I'm a little moved by this. So they're singing along to the song that I'm basically singing because I'm in a dark place, and I just need those words. I just need those feelings. I just need those feeling of knowing that even if those prayers will not be answered, I just need to live that, and I just need to live that, yes, my hope is in God alone, and that's the important part, I guess, of what I'm going through, and reasserting that as, you know, as purposefully as I can. Anyway, these people are singing along. Her hand is in the air. Now, we're not at church, we're in a bar. And it's as secular a gig as you're ever going to have. And I'm grateful for all those gigs that allow me to basically make a living as a musician. I mean, that's a wonderful gift right there that I'm receiving. And this lady is basically worshiping right along me. In the moment. Could not have cared less that we were in a bar, not at church. Could not have cared less what people were thinking. Could not have cared less about anything other than in that moment that song touched her heart, and we're doing church. I'm not part of a worship team in that moment. I'm not part of a worship team right now anyway, but which will be another point I'm going to get to later in this podcast. But we're not at church, but we're doing church together. In that moment, she and I felt moved by those words, and we felt moved by the Spirit, and was moved enough that I sang the song. Of all the songs that I could have played in that moment, that's the one I went to. And she was moved enough that she's singing along, hand in the air, completely worshiping in the moment. And that was a great lesson for me. First of all, it really touched my heart. I haven't talked to her about it yet. I was a little bit too emotional on that day, and I didn't want to, you know, I just met these people, so I didn't want to be like, oh, hi, my name is Dave, and I'm a psycho. You know, I didn't want to go there. But I do intend on talking to her when I'm a little bit more settled about it, about the experience, and thank her for that gift that she gave me in the moment of worshiping with me, because I did not feel alone. I think we all have times in life when, you know, we might be in a bar with 50 odd whatever people, 75, 100, however many people are in that bar, and then, you know, on that given night. And yeah, we're behind the microphone and we have a guitar and we're singing songs and we're kind of a focal point of the evening, at least for some people. And we get a charge out of that, but I'll tell you what, as many of you probably have experienced before, it's not because you're among 100 people that you're not alone and that you're not feeling absolutely devastated by it. And that's where the right song comes into your life. And it's a gift, you know, it's a gift, and it just carries you along and gives you that strength that you thought you were out of. And that lady, in that moment, worshiping with me in that bar, she just lifted me up. She just lifted me right up. And, you know, I believe that she was sent to me, you know, on that night. And that song was the right song for me, and we worshiped and we did church together that night. Complete strangers. That's pretty beautiful. And I really, you know, I'm still very emotional about it right now. And so I started thinking about, well, how often do I do church songs in my gig? And so I went back, you know, in the past few months, and the answer is all of them. And I started thinking about that. I've been doing that song "To the Table" by Zach Williams at most every gig. Yesterday, I was doing an outside gig on a patio to support veterans. The benefits went to our veterans here in the area, and that song was requested. Somebody who's seen me at several gigs. Now again, those are secular gigs in bars and restaurants around, you know, the area with like a 1 hour radius of where I live. And this person has seen me at another gig, and they said, "Would you do that table song?" And I was like, "Yeah, I would love to." And so I find interesting that in secular gigs, people still want to hear those worship songs. And so if you're like me, you know, involved in church, but also involved in gigging in as I said, in the secular world, you know, I would encourage you, if you don't already, to add a few songs. And I'm not bashful about it. I'll literally tell people, all right, y'all, I'm going to take you to church right now, and, you know, we're going to do a song by whichever artist. And I do a fair amount of Mercy Me songs, and obviously Zach Williams, and Casting Crowns, and a lot of different artists. And so what I've noticed thinking back is that the song in the past couple of months that's received the loudest applause is To the Table. And that really surprised me, but it is what it is. So feel encouraged, if you don't already, to definitely drop a few of those songs and worship in the moment. Why not? I mean, you never know whose heart you're going to touch. And in my case, starting with mine, I mean, I'm probably the person there that's the most blessed by those songs. But maybe somebody else needed to hear that message. There's a reason why in the past few months, and I'm out there 4, 5, 6 nights a week, so it's not that big of a sample size, but it's reasonable enough that it was interesting to me to look back on that and see that, lo and behold, that's the song that received the most amount of applause. It's touching people. And yes, it's a good song. I'm sure some of the people applauding probably don't react to the words of the song. Maybe they're not paying that, you know, much attention. And they probably just like the melody or something. But nevertheless, that song is touching people. And that's important. I was playing the piano the other day, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Drove my son to see his grandpa at this retirement home. And so now I've got a couple of hours to kill, and I realize they have a piano. And not only do they have that piano, but they have a Steinway piano. And there was no sign on it that said, don't play it. So I played it. And before you know it, I've got 25 people in the room, older gentlemen and ladies, all of them with better nothing to do than listen to me. I'm just about the worst piano player there is. But man, I had to play that thing. It's a Steinway. I'd never seen one for real. I was super excited. And so I started playing, and I'm in the middle of playing this Bob Dylan song that was covered by a lot of people like Adele and Garth Brooks, and I'm sure many others. And I'm just playing, so left-hand chords, right-hand the melody. I'm not singing at that stage. And this little old lady walks all the way to me, and she said, "Is that Amazing Grace?" And I didn't have the heart to tell her it wasn't. And so I'm thinking to myself, nope, but it could be. And so I asked her, well, would you like for me to do Amazing Grace? And she said yes, and so I did. And again, you know, I'm not at church. I'm just among people, but she wanted that song, and it touched her heart. And I think that's our job. We're not just musicians, you know, we're not just followers of Christ, and we're not just, I guess we're not just worship team members when we are at church, or even when we are a part of a worship team. We can be playing those songs, and we never know. There might be somebody in the audience, there might be somebody present there, maybe even a member of the staff when I'm playing in a bar or whatever, that really needed to hear those songs, just like I really needed to play them. And if we can touch their hearts, well, that's doing church, as I understand it anyway. And I'm not pretending to be understanding much these days, quite frankly. I mean, I'm searching as much as the next guy, and God knows I'm struggling as much as the next guy. But here we are, you know, touching hearts one song at a time. And so I really encourage you to do that, and think about that, and think about how, if you haven't already, how your abilities that you have as part of a worship team, you can use them in other environments, and still touch hearts, and still help people find their place in the kingdom. And I think we're all, in a lot of ways, looking for that. I have no idea what my place is. I'm just grateful that I'm in it. That's really all I can say. Man, I wish I had answers. Whew, that would be great. I would love to reach out and say, listen, I don't know what your question is, but man, I got the answer. I don't. I have barely enough answers for my own life, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. I have a lot of questions, so if you have answers, definitely get in contact here. I would love to talk to you about that. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, I'm not currently part of a worship team, but I tried to be. And in the past couple of months, I approached a couple of churches, and it's been an interesting process. Well, the first thing I should say is I'm 100% trusting God with it. I don't know. I mean, to me, it seems like an obvious thing. I'm a musician. I'm on stage all the time. As I said, 4, 5, 6 times a week. If a church needs a guitar player or a singer, I'm really happy to help. That would be awesome. I love serving on a team. It's pure joy, and so I would love to be doing that again. I would love to be helping a congregation worship. I mentioned that in a previous episode, but my good friend Jim, when I was talking to him about finding a church and what a church home is, and really had a lot of questions once again, and he said, Dave, you need to take a step back. You're missing the point. And he said, the point is, it doesn't matter what church it is. And yeah, it's great to find a church family that you feel drawn to and you feel called to be a part of. But the truth of the matter is, that's not why you go to church. You go to church to worship God. That's it. End of story. Everything else is a cherry on the cake, but that's the cake. And so the first thing is I trust God. If God wants me to be on a worship team, I will be called to be on one. If he thinks that I don't need to be on one and that I should be focusing on something else and serve in another fashion, then that's what will happen. And maybe having this podcast and having this website and having the resources I'm working on for worship teams, maybe that's my calling. I have no idea. I'm really just trying to follow an idea that I had, and I'm not even sure I had it. Maybe this was an inspiration from the Holy Spirit, but I've been praying really hard about this, trying to better understand when a thought is my thought, or the Holy Spirit whispering in my ear saying, you really ought to go in that direction. And I really don't know yet how to differentiate the two. I'm really not pretending to have answers over here. But I'm trying to follow what I think is expected of me or what I'm called to be doing. So I met with a couple of worship team leaders, and one of them I was actually really excited about potentially working with. I really liked that gentleman as a person, first of all. I've seen him on stage many times, both in the secular world and at church, and I think he's really competent, and I really like his vision, and I really like his heart for worship. So I thought that would be a good place for me to be. And he said, hey, what's your number? I'm going to text you. I got to go, but I'm going to text you this week. And this was 3 weeks ago, and needless to say, no text has come. And I see him at church every weekend since. And so at first I was like, well, I thought you were going to message me, and so I was a little bit disappointed, but I didn't want to be that guy, like tap on the shoulder and say, hey buddy, where's my message? And so I decided to pray about it, and I asked God to point me in the right direction. If it's not on a team, then that's fine. Then where am I going to serve, Lord? Where do you need me? That's the first thing. And then I realized, man, am I going at this the wrong way? Yet again. What I should have been doing all along is just pray for that guy. Is just pray for him to, that he would have the strength and I don't know, the drive, and he would be renewed. And, I don't know where he's at. I don't know how difficult his life may be. I know him from watching him at church and seeing him at gigs. I know little about this man. And here I am, quote unquote upset, not really upset, but sort of going, oh, I didn't get that message he said I was going to get. What I should have been doing is praying for him and be grateful that he is leading a team, that he is shouldering that responsibilities, that he is serving, every week, and just pray for him and say, Lord, maybe I can be on that team and help him out. Maybe not. But how about you just be with him? How about you just shower him with love and give him direction and give him strength, give him whatever it is that he needs right now in his life in general, but also as a worship leader, and that you would empower him to reach out and find the right musicians. And God knows it may not be me. It may be somebody else that he needs in that team that's a much better fit than I could ever be. And I could serve that congregation better. That's what I should have been doing all along. And there I was going, I didn't get my text. I didn't get my text? Are you kidding me? Oh. The amount of falling short that I'm involved in is staggering. So I guess I'm going to close this by saying, first of all, thank you for watching this long. And second of all, would you please be in prayer for your worship team, the members, the leader, everybody who's involved, the guys running sound in the background, mind you, like they're behind my couch. But anyway, that you would be in prayer for them, and that you really would ask God to, to open their hearts and to help them be strong and be inspiring for their congregations, because man, a worship team is awesome. And I'm sure you've been moved. If you're watching this, you're probably a part of one, or you used to be, but I know you've been moved at some point or another, maybe on a weekly basis, by what that team is doing on that stage and the heart with which they're doing it. Please be in prayer for them, that they would continue to have that heart for worship, and it would continue to inspire people to worship better, stronger, higher. And if you have a chance, if that's in your heart, would you please thank them the next time you're there? Just thank them for serving, and including the people running sound and putting the words on the screen so you can sing along in case you don't remember exactly every word of that song. Just go out there and show them a little love, because that's really what they're doing to us. That's an act of love. They're donating their time on a Sunday morning to be there to help us worship. So that's a pretty beautiful thing. So thank you for watching. Please be in prayer for those guys. And if you have answers, definitely contact me. Have a great day.